Hey everybody, welcome to Bean Scream, episode 5, the podcast. I'm your co-host, Matt.
And other co-host, RJ.
And today we got a really
I'm-
special guest. Oh, okay. Well,
Go for it.
Take it away.
we got a
No.
special guest. Who are you? What do you do? Who you do?
Who you bean?
Who
Why
is?
you a bean? Are you a bean?
Who you bean? Who you bean? Where you scream?
I'm Matt's girlfriend that he convinced to do this.
Thank
Ah!
you. I love you.
I guess the cat's out of that bag. Jeez.
Yeah. Sorry guys, she's taken.
Oh, damn. I was just going to ask.
We'll see if that still stands after this. I'm really hoping so. I would be very crushed if not. But going into this, she is taken. So, how's everybody's week been? How's everybody doing?
I am doing fine.
That's good.
Just fine. Better than last week where I was getting haunted by ghosts.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you have any more ghost
I've
experiences?
heard about that.
Nothing that I can report on. The flickering light seemed to have ceased. So that's good to know.
That's good. Michaela, anything happen with you?
It's actually been so far a relatively uneventful week, thankfully.
That's good.
Other
right?
than
Yeah.
the random homeless guy at my work.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
I work for a library in the back area where we go in through the door. You know, there's always at least like a couple homeless people back there because they sleep back there during the docking area because the roof comes out a little bit more, so it gives like shade or blocks the wind and stuff like that. And since it's downtown, a little harder to find places. But we have this one guy who's a regular back there, and he likes to randomly scream his head off.
It's
Bean
me.
screams his
He's
head
just
off.
completely. It's just one of those things that he's just always. I don't know what triggers him, but it's just
I don't know what
randomly. Oh,
triggers
yep,
him.
he's screaming again.
He's triggered.
He's triggered.
The way that this man has been described to me is quite literally just out of nowhere. He'll just
He's a bench
scream.
Karen.
Yeah, I sit there and I try and listen to what he's screaming, but it's so garbled. It's like the mix of like being like tongue-tied. So there's almost words, but you just don't know what it says.
Yeah.
It's that part in Bruce Almighty where he takes over the teleprompter.
Steve Carell just
Like-
Yeah, of course.
It's so weird because he's just walking in, he'll say good morning to people, and then like 10 minutes later, it's just screaming.
yeah. He sounds like one of my people.
Oh,
Yeah. Sounds like someone that I would work with.
one of your guests,
One of my clientele.
clientele. Yes.
Can you round him up for me?
I don't have the authority. I can give you a number.
So far, he's not as violent as the last one we had who got, very
Had a
loud.
bat.
The other guy used to like to take, I don't even know what it was, but he'd start banging on the docking door.
Oh
and
wow.
just try and, I don't know, break the door. I don't know.
Bashing the truck windows and
Oh, yeah, the truck windows got smashed about a month ago.
yeah. That was for
They
the
didn't steal
second
anything.
time,
They
right?
just wanted to smash the window.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was when the other time was
The
when
catalytic
the catalytic
converter.
converter got stolen.
Okay.
And then the other one got graffitied.
Yeah. You see how working at a library really isn't that safe?
It's not all it's cracked up to be. I was
It
like,
really isn't.
I wanted to shush people all day when I was a kid.
Yeah, let's see. There was someone who got chased by a homeless person with the railroad spike because we're right next to the train track.
What? Oh my god.
Yeah. No,
IRS.
we could do this whole podcast on just things that she has seen and experienced in your year and a few months of being there?
Yeah, pretty much. I've been there for like a year and like a couple months.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
My first day there working was a woman pretending to be a blind person.
Oh
I
wow.
love this story. Do you want to tell the story?
Oh, as
Please.
per, ritual, I guess, they try to convince people who are working for the library, go and get a library card.
Yeah.
So on like my shift and everything, we were taking a break. One of the people who was, had been training me took me up to the front desk to, sign up for the library card. As we're back there, we're kind of like behind the circulation desk instead of the front area. And this one woman walks in. She has her glasses, on the blackout looking kind of glasses. But she had two people who came in behind her, but they decided to go a completely different direction. But they had been talking to her.
Oh.
And so she goes and sits down at a table. She's sitting there for a while. Then she gets up and she's talking to someone at the desk. And I just can barely hear. She's like, I can't find my jacket. Can someone go and look for it for me? She starts talking and describing. She's like, actually, no, I don't know what it looks like. I'm blind.
Actually, I don't know what it looks like. I'm blind.
She's like, I think it's a black jacket after she had just described it.
Perfectly.
Yeah, and she kept on trying to get people to go outside and look for it. I was just like, this sounds like a setup to get like kidnapped and thrown into a van.
Yeah.
Considering the two guys had just like disappeared somewhere.
Ooh.
Just outside, like, we got this jacket. Let's do this. I think she was lying about the jacket.
Definitely.
Same here.
That was definitely the part in question.
I don't think that they had a jacket. You feel?
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah. I think they were lying.
Why would you lie about that?
Why would you lie? Who lies about a jacket?
Yeah, how dare they?
How dare they?
What guy?
It really makes you question if I could find it. If I can just find it. The joke's over now. It's dead.
It's been
It's
too long
dead.
now.
It's dead. Like,
is,
I
it
don't
is.
know.
Why did you do this to me, shit-ass?
There we go.
That's good. Good right there.
Yeah. Totally worth the
Good
setup.
save.
Yeah.
What a save, Matt. What a save.
You know what that was?
That was a what a save. What that was.
Nothing is working, and I hate this.
Wow. Technical issues on the
Nice
cast,
on.
yo. There you go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to do it this way. It's being a real doofus.
Damn, we're gonna have to edit that out. Oof.
You know what? We don't have to edit out.
What? Oh.
Oh my god.
That was so good.
Oh my god. So that's something that we had talked about last week, right before doing the podcast.
Oh my god, that was so good. That was so good.
It took a little longer than I expected. And
Yeah.
I was kind of just like, you know what? That sounds fine enough.
Dude, that's amazing. I love that.
It just sounds so sad at the end.
That's really funny though.
I had to do it.
Wow.
It was one of those things. It had to happen.
Bravo,
It had
Matt.
to exist.
It did. You have birthed it.
If only we had it last week.
I know. But we can continue the bean
Yeah.
files. It's totally
No,
fine.
absolutely. The
we're
bean
diving
files
into
can
today.
live on with cold case
Yes.
files.
Hey,
Cold bean files.
Cold beans.
Okay,
yeah.
when I pitched this idea to Michaela, she had a really
Mhm.
good name for it too. Do you want to say it?
Didn't you just say it? Cold beans?
I tried to make sure that I didn't just say that, but yeah, cold beans.
Oh.
Because, it's cold case files, but we're beans.
We can change the cool beans to make it,
You see, I don't want to sound like we're trying to, be those edgy people that are like, oh, murder's cool.
murder is. Well, okay. I almost did it. I just almost did it.
Yeah.
I deserve this.
Michaela, I warned you. There's just so
I know.
much soundboard on this
Yeah.
this experience. So
You act like I wasn't very aware of that when you first got that thing.
it's a free thing. I had to.
It's a free thing.
Okay, you're gonna hate this one, but you know you know where it comes from. Okay.
You know it, you love it.
Oh,
Like I
you
was
beans.
fan.
Look at your small penis. Bet you can't do anything with that, huh? Shitty beans. Yeah.
That is one of RJ's favorites, hands down.
That gets me every single time.
Let's see what else. What case do we want to start with? Since there's so many out there, which one are we going to solve today?
Well, you said you had an experience that related to the I guess conditions we're going to set forward here. So why don't you take it away here?
I did. What?
Yeah, you texted me like 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start with the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, okay.
You
met him? Wait.
Yes. No. So
the recent.
Yeah. So there's
news
actually a recent development with the Zodiac case. More than 50 years down the line.
Yes.
So you know how he, she, they. It's 2020. How
Correct.
they sent in like coded ciphers to like newspapers and stuff.
Yeah.
So up until about last week, there had only been like one or two that had been deciphered, right?
Mm.
Like, hun, it was only like one or two.
I believe they had about a total of 2 or 3, actually.
3. Okay. That were deciphered?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they had one about the taxi, I think, or the bus. There was something about like blowing up a bus, if I remember right, or killing kids
that
on a
one
bus.
was the kids. Yes, that was the kiddies on the bus.
Ooh.
And then there was one about like there was the first one, kind of like saying who they were.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there was one more.
Okay. So now there's a new one. And
Okay.
RJ, are you familiar with the Zodiac case at all?
Not much. I haven't done much research on it for sure. I've definitely heard of it, but yeah, no, please elaborate a little bit.
I think that Michaela and I can both recommend. It was a movie that we watched on Netflix, just purely called Zodiac.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little long if you have like 3 hours to kill.
Yeah.
I wish I was joking, but
Has Robert Downey Jr. in it at least.
Robert Downey Jr.
That's a plus.
I had his name earlier. Jake Gyllenhaal, I believe it was Jake Gyllenhaal, and
Morgan Freeman.
I don't think that he showed up in that one yet, unless he was just a background character. I mean, it's a long movie, but yeah, no, it's actually really good. It follows a book that was written by someone that was close to the case, who is obviously in the movie. But so essentially, the Zodiac Killer has 4 or 5 cases, like murders attributed to him, right, hon?
So there was I remember there was a couple. There was a taxi, and then I believe there was 2 other women that all have been attributed to him. There's other murders that have happened, but they're not too sure he's necessarily related.
Okay. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 people total ish. About 4 different events. So you have 2 teenagers who were shot back in '68, kind of just on the city limits. It's a date.
Okay.
And you had 2 other, a little older, 19 and 20, another couple, out in kind of Vallejo, and shot them both, but I believe it was the guy actually survived.
Oh.
And then again,
Yeah,
another
there's the
couple,
survivor.
about their 20s in 69 at a lake in Napa County. So this one, he actually dressed up and like had a full get up, and it was in the middle of the day. So up until this, like they were both, the two prior ones were at night with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
This one that is attributed to him, he had like a full like suit, kind of just mashed together suit, hiding his face, everything, and he had a knife. With this one, the woman survived, I believe. Was it? No. So it was again, the man survived again after 8 stab wounds to the back, and he was able to describe kind of the build of the man.
Yeah.
It's commonly, a man is what's commonly associated with him. And the last one that is like confirmed can be traced to him is a taxi cab driver who was also shot back in around 69.
Okay.
Between murders, he was taunting newspapers by sending in like cryptic codes and stuff, which got him the name Zodiac.
Okay. As you do.
And so yeah, and they kind of attribute. So he has kind of a logo as well that is kind of stolen from a watch line. So there's a whole thing with that. So this individual would send in letters, kind of taunting and doing all this stuff. At one point, there was essentially a letter that kind of demanded, like, hey, on TV, I want this celebrity, and I will talk to this celebrity only on live TV, kind of thing. Like, I'll call in. So they did it, got the celebrity to, like, talk. A man did call in, claiming to be the Zodiac Killer, and had this, like, whole thing about, like, I kill because I have headaches, and this and that. Kind of matching some of what you would assume this individual would, have.
Okay.
Well, after this happened, another letter came into the newspapers, and 50 years later now, 2020, last week, 2 Australian cryptographers essentially deciphered it. So I have a little excerpt, which is actually just the whole thing. I hope you're having lots of fun trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber, because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. Because I now have enough slaves to work for me, where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise, so they are afraid of death. I am not afraid, because I know that my new life will be an easy one in paradise, or in paradise death. So it's a little disjointed, but very interesting.
It's interesting.
And apparently, in one of the letters, he claims to have given his name. That letter is still yet to be deciphered, and it's not really clear which letter it is. But he sent his letters to different newspapers in different jurisdictions. All of his killings were in different jurisdictions. So that kind of added to him not being caught.
Easy to find.
Interesting.
Yeah. They believe the last one is the letter will reveal who he was. So they're really concerned with deciphering that one.
Yeah.
The whole thing that bugs me with it is that obviously this has been 51 years they've been trying to decipher these. It took them 51 years to realize that the letter was diagonal.
Yeah, so these two Australian individuals ran it through like a program kind of, and deciphered that, like, oh, well, instead of it being any sort of orientation, the letters match up best if they're like in diagonals. And so that's what that deciphered to. At least that's what they claim it to be. And if you know the case, it sounds kind of accurate to the other things as well. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that was something that I heard, and I was like, well, we were planning to do a cold case episode next week, so I could
Yeah, that works
definitely
out.
bring up, like, it was fate.
Yeah, must have been.
One of the lead,
Interesting. Well, that's yeah.
one of the lead suspects is a man by the name of Arthur Lee Allen,
Mhm.
which, there's a lot of evidence for it, but a lot of it is also circumstantial. This man was questioned by police so many times, and
Wasn't one of the things too that they noticed he had the watch with the
so
logo on it too?
he exhibited. So one of his former coworkers or something had said that at one point he heard him say something that was in one of the letters. It was the one about the bus and the little kitties watching them run, all that stuff.
Yeah, because he used to work for a school, didn't he?
Yes, and then he had the watch that was that Zodiac brand watch. He was a left-handed individual, I believe, and they had assumed that the Zodiac killer was left-handed. Bigger set, just angry at women. Never had a girlfriend or wife. At some point, police in San Francisco actually obtained a search warrant for his house, and he was eventually arrested for a sexual assault of a 12-year-old boy. He pleaded guilty, served 2 years of imprisonment, and then, again, they just kept after trying to get him, and nothing could ever really stick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It definitely is an interesting case. He is, for a lot of reasons, he is who people match, and I believe that they kept some like a part of his brain just to do some DNA stuff. I could be misremembering that.
That's interesting though.
Mm. Like they even did like the writing analysis.
Mm-hmm.
They had like experts from everywhere of like they tried to connect it to him and it just wasn't matching. And even like they it's the 60s, 70s. The DNA is starting to like come in, and so they did the DNA examination for like the envelopes and everything on the letters, and none of that was Alan's.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, it's one of those really puzzling cases because so many things line up to be this individual, but then so many other things are just kind of like, well, we don't have this. Like anything that could actually stick doesn't.
Wow.
Which it could be one of those things too that, he could say, hey, can you just write this for me or send this letter or something like that.
Yeah.
I still think there's multiple people that were involved.
Yeah. So
I think it's like a big tag team like copycat thing going on.
Pretty much. I mean, you have multiple jurisdictions. You have letters that roughly talk about varying different stuff. You've had multiple people claim to be it. It seems like there's just like this kind of, I don't know, like you could essentially call it a cult in a way.
Okay.
Zodiac cult.
The Zodiac cult. That could make sense.
Because, I mean, from an anthropologist perspective, as far as like what the last letter said, they talk a lot about paradise and certain stuff that actually reference certain religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And you could easily have had some people who were like, I don't know, got wrapped up in the wrong kind of thing, or took it too far into what they read into. And you could have easily had a group of that to where they were convincing them and then it turned into like a cult kind of thing. It just kind of seems like it would easily follow that path with you. You have multiple places. You can't pinpoint one person.
Multiple different DNA.
It's the same thing with Jack the Ripper.
So
Yeah.
Another interesting thing too is there were so many cases of like police being in the same area at the time of the murders and stuff. Like the taxi one, they think that at one point, a pair of police officers may have actually stopped the right person, but they didn't have anything to stick. So they heard the gunshot, they ran over, they saw a man just kind of walking, so like, hey, stop, and he's like, oh, hey, and then they're like, okay, we'll just move on or something.
Yeah, because he didn't match the description.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that what it was?
There's a bunch of theories as to like why they kind of just didn't stop him fully, but it all comes back to it could have not been him is the thing. So
yeah, because there was a description going by, and they just couldn't find someone by that description either.
The only thing that if they did a search of the person that they stopped, which would not have been completely legal depending on circumstances. So the killer actually took a piece of the taxi cab driver's shirt. So if they would have searched him and found the shirt, that would have been a closed case.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a whole mess. I definitely recommend it. It's just called Zodiac. I'm not sure if it's still on Netflix, but if you have like 3 hours, it's really good.
Yeah, I got time.
Yeah, I got time. Oh yeah, I got time
for sure.
Bob Parr. Oh, sorry, Mr. Incredible.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to let that slip.
Dang, Matt. Dang. Gonna have to edit that out and chop this together.
Pussy out!
I just kind of clicked the first one that was there.
That was good. It worked out.
It did a thing. Okay, are there any other cases that we want to talk about? Because I know that, Michaela, you brought up Jack the Ripper, and you and I did a project on that.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And we could probably just do a whole episode on Jack the Ripper. And even the whole episode on the Zodiac Killer, in all honesty.
Yeah, they're so detailed in that pop culture kind of stuff that I still think RJ should look up Toy Box murder.
Wait, what is this now?
So I listened to a certain kind of thing, like where I don't really actually listen to her, but I've come across a couple of her things where she talks about like random murderers and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
I know who that
something
is.
called
Yeah.
the Toy Box Killer.
Oh, okay.
I'll pull it up 1 second.
David Parker Ray.
Yes.
Yep.
American serial killer.
So
Kidnapper,
this
torture rapist. Okay.
Yeah, this dude essentially turned a trailer or boxing in his, backyard,
Mm-hmm.
and would sexually torture these people back there in the box with I think he had a girlfriend too who helped him and everything.
Oh.
But everything was hand built, handmade, everything, and no one even noticed for like the longest period of time. And they just called him the Toy Box Killer because he essentially tortured people with what were considered sex toys.
Oh, I see. Huh.
Right up your alley.
Wow.
Hey, I'm not the one that was.
Man.
I'm not the one that said like.
Actually interesting.
Oh, I think you'd be really interested in this one. That's not me.
No, I thought it was just one that was of all the ones that was the most obscure because someone built it and no one noticed.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's definitely interesting. Huh.
Yeah. Definitely an interesting one, but that's
it's
nothing really stuck with him as well. But
weird.
It's more we can just kind of connect those dots because of this and that.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Definitely. I think if anyone could talk about like cold cases and murder mysteries, the three of us would probably be. We could probably do like a 24-hour episode on just this.
Yeah.
Never going to.
I also have some stuff to get into.
Yeah,
as well.
I'm interested to hear.
Oh, show. So if we want to kick something off here, we can.
Okay.
All right. So was it like probably a month or 2 months ago? Started getting really into like the documentary stuff they had on Netflix.
Mhm.
And we came across this one regarding the kidnapping of Madeleine McCann.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so she was on vacation with her family, and a sleuth came in and I guess kidnapped her from a window. Um, and she's been missing ever since 2007, and is still
Mhm.
missing.
From Portugal.
From Praia da Luz, Portugal, correct. So yeah, I like that one's interesting to me because of how everything was done.
Everyone was around, and it still happened.
Yeah, but like the messed up part is so like the reason it happened, right? Or I guess not the reason, but the time of the event that it happened. Um, a lot of the parents and stuff had their friends on their vacation as well in Portugal. And they would eat. So here's the first mistake. First mistake is they would eat at the same restaurant every night
Mm.
at the same time.
Well, when you feel
So
safe.
right, yeah. So, but they were like, "Oh, hey, like we can see the townhouse or whatever from from the restaurant. So it's totally fine, right?
Mm.
They let the kids like sleep over there in the house while they were out to dinner. Um, but it was the same place, same time every night, and then they would take like 20, 30 minute intervals to go check on the kids, right?
Mm.
Because naturally you want to make sure that nothing like
Nothing
this
happens.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I think one of the problems was um, their schedule was a little too planned, right? So if someone were to
Predictable.
if someone were to be watching, they would know what the time frame was to slip in and do that.
Mhm.
So that was the other mistake I think on their end. But as to not like you know point fingers at anybody or anything, I'm not saying anything was wrong with that. It's just it's unfortunate, but it's also like I don't know. I guess I wouldn't have done it that way.
Mhm. Yeah.
But so yeah, so basically, so the Madeline got kidnapped, and they were looking around for her. They had a couple of people that said they saw a person carrying her away from the house, and it turned out that case wasn't or that eyewitness account, I guess, wasn't very valid. Um, the person was like, "Oh yeah, I saw this," and it turns out she didn't see shit.
Okay. The false
Yeah, which
memory. I just want to be part of it.
yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, it was like one of the friends on the vacation.
Mm.
And yeah, I guess she was like, "Oh, I saw this guy," and like gave a description and everything, and they're like, No." Basically, like, turned out
No, you're
that didn't
wrong.
help at all. Yeah. Um, so yeah, so then like that happens, and then the Portugal police force, I forgot what they were called. Let me see. Should say it here somewhere. What are they called? Shit. Anyway, um, yeah, Portuguese police. So they took on the case pretty much immediately because it happened there. Um, started looking around, started kind of doing their thing, but they kind of took over and were like, so we're gonna do things our way. It might not seem like how you think it's gonna be because it's not gonna be.
Yeah.
Basically, they wouldn't release any information to the public, like at all.
Mm.
So the public couldn't help basically for like the longest time. Um, I forgot how long that time period was, but like they weren't reporting anything to the media or the news or anything like that until somebody went in and kind of like infiltrated, I guess.
There's a leak.
Yeah. So there was a leak to media, and then it got out what they had. So then the public started getting in on it finally, and people were pointing a lot of fingers, saying, "Hey, I saw that guy over there. He was being weird about things," and you know, um, and yeah. So they had a couple of like really prime suspects that the Portuguese police were trying to I guess, bully into confessing.
Mm.
They would just sit them in a room for like hours and hours and hours, just yell at them and just, make them say things, basically. And then, nobody ever broke because they were like, I didn't do anything.
Mm.
Like, I have no information. You've been yelling at me for, 16 hours. I don't have anything,
Mm.
I guess we'll fast forward a little bit for time's sake, but basically they did a search of the house that they were staying in, the family.
Mhm.
They did a search with a couple of like trained search dogs that are trained to pick out like blood scent and like the smell of like decay and disease and stuff, whatever.
Mm.
And the dogs were sniffing at a couple of certain key points. One was like the family vehicle that they had. And then another spot I think was like in like a dining area or something. But the guy who was handling the dog said, they don't bark unless there's something.
Yeah. So
Like
that's
100% of the time.
Of like the
Yeah.
dogs found something in the car.
Yeah, so the dogs found evidence in the car and in the house of, blood and or decay, like,
Mhm.
And so the Portuguese police were like, okay, so is this the thing where like the family did it? Because looking kind of sus over here,
Yeah.
So they take them in. They take both them in for questioning for like a long time and do the same thing. They try to pester them into admitting.
Admission.
Yeah. But I think the police force was going about it all wrong too. They just wanted someone to blame so that they could be done with it. So that they could have a case.
Case closed.
Yeah, right, yeah. So that I think that whole distraction allowed time for whoever did it to, either A, get away or B, forgotten about.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that period of time was like super hard to to watch through because it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, this sucks.
You know how it's gonna end, and you just don't want it to.
Yeah, right, yeah. Because in the back of my mind the whole time I'm like, oh man, like that's not the guy, like
Yeah,
that's not
you're
the
messing
guy.
up. Putting all
Yeah,
this effort
I
into
mean-
it. It's not him.
Yeah. So but they talked to a few more people and they're like, you know what, we don't even know anymore about this case. So like they essentially dropped the case.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, especially when they started going after the parents like got a lawyer and they were like, you want to try to put this on us, even though like our kid's the one who's gone, kind of thing. And
if there's evidence there.
I mean, yeah, the evidence was there, but then the evidence just kind of fell cold because they disproved the car thing. They were like, look, we got the car after the disappearance, so that doesn't make sense. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just weird stuff was going on with the investigation with that. So then there was another. I forgot who took it next. Let me see who was the. Okay. Removal. Okay. And then they I guess they started a fundraiser. The family started a fundraiser to like aid in private investigators and stuff like that.
Mm.
And so let me see who did it next. Oh, there was a Spanish agency that they hired. And they were on the case for a little bit and didn't really get anywhere. It looked like they were going in a good direction, then it just stopped. They went after the same guy that the Portugal police had gone after, trying to just dig out more information that the guy didn't have. He's like, I don't have anything, But yeah, man, it's just big mess.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Just a big mess. I mean, there's so much more that I could ramble about if I had much more time. But
if we did like a full episode on it,
yeah, it's kind of the same thing as like what you guys are talking about. I'm sure you guys have loads of information.
Yeah,
but I'd recommend the series though. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, no, it'll definitely be better than what we're watching now.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
What are you guys getting into right now?
It's that Married at
Marriage
First
at First
Sight.
Sight.
It is toxic, and as someone with a degree in psychology and who deals with mental health stuff on a daily basis, I'm appalled. I am.
Wow.
I. The only reason that I'm watching it at this point is for completion's sake, and to actually get to the reunion to be like, okay, so what actually happened?
Right, yeah. Because all the secrets come out.
Yeah. It's essentially like the way they cut the episodes, it's so obvious. They cut out key information so you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Typical, but they make it entirely obvious of what's going on.
Yeah, like there's one
And then you have people who are purposely set up with others who like may have like had a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever was going on.
What?
You had like a person who is technically a licensed, therapist and all sorts of, like, she's a family and marriage and sex specialist, I guess. And she sits there and she gets confrontational with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the best way to go about things, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. As a healthcare, or as a mental health provider, the one thing that they tell you to do is, if you feel antagonized, go after that person.
Yeah, it's just like hunting ghosts. You see a ghost,
Yeah.
you're like, come fight me, bro.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was a horribly toxic relationship that they just kind of kept on egging on.
Yeah.
Essentially, to where it got to the point to where it looked like the girl was actually going to have like mental damage.
Oh,
She
from it.
probably does.
She more than likely, and I think she actually came out with like a whole thing of like what the show did to her and all
Holy
that.
cow.
Yeah.
And then there was one relationship that they were messing with that they totally, it was their fault that it didn't work out.
And you can talk about that. I feel like some context with that would be.
Well, essentially, it's marriage at first sight. So they choose the person who you're going to marry, you marry them.
Right.
And then you spend like 8 weeks in getting to know this person. Well, one couple, they were both 27, I believe.
27.
And,
27.
Yeah. The girl was a virgin, basically. She had been saving herself for, her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And the one guy, he was struggling with it. He kind of dug his own grave. At first, it just seemed like it was like a matter of like, he wasn't sure if he'd meet expectations, and he felt
wanted to
nervous
take
about that
from her, and not
but
work
it
out.
essentially turned into like a conversation of like, "Oh, you're not experienced. I don't really know if I want that," kind of thing. But
it was, you're not emotionally mature enough. Was like his excuse.
Yet she had been there for him for every other aspect.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But the show purposely, making her uncomfortable instead of like, because the whole point is like, get to know each other, be open with each other on this, feel like you can talk about it, would purposely put her in uncomfortable scenarios and give her screwed up questions to ask from like a bowl that she wouldn't know the answer to.
Oh.
Go ahead.
So
and
it's like, okay, what's your favorite sex position? Well, she's never had it before. How's she supposed to talk about it? And he's like, well, think of it. And she's like, I don't know.
Oh, you loved his answer though. Let's just say, not very intimate.
It was doggy style.
I was gonna leave it up to the imagination, but not very.
Nice.
But,
Matt, you gotta play. You gotta play
they gave
that
her
clip.
stuff like that to where she couldn't answer. So it was just stupid. They
Matt,
screwed it up on purpose.
Which
essentially,
one are
for
we
the
talking
drama.
here? I got so many clips.
Matt, you know which one.
Hit her with a poop sock.
That one.
Not exactly what I was going for, but good.
Which one was it? Is it?
Fuck me in the ass because I love Jesus.
There you go.
Okay. I was like,
so good.
I was trying to. I have too many
God.
sound clips right now, so it's hard to be like,
Yeah.
that one.
Hard to be on demand like that.
Yeah, it's hard. I need a bit more like setup of like, oh man, I guess he was really trying to hit a different, going different port.
Fuck me in ass because I love Jesus.
I would have got that on man.
I mean-
Just boom.
That's one way to go about things. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
oops.
Honestly, we could probably do a whole episode on just trashy shows, but for that one, we would need
absolutely.
Jordan as well.
Yeah. We
Hands
gotta
down
have,
would
we
need
gotta have Jordan
Jordan.
in on that one.
You've
been recruited.
Yes, the presence is being demanded.
Your presence
the
is being
Scream,
demanded.
The Bean Scream audience demands it. But
We're talking about doing an episode on horrible reality TV shows. Yes. So you're in there.
we've slated her on the schedule.
Yes.
All the four beans will come together. as a
You're
gang.
booked. There's no canceling. You're booked. No, don't throw a chair at me. Jesus.
No!
No. Oh, she hits him with a chair.
Oh no! There's one clip I keep forgetting to get, and you know it.
Your
You
schedule's
know
wide
it.
open. Shut up. Yeah, I do.
Good old.
The good old dick twist.
What a tactical genius this man is. But we're getting a little off topic here, Hun. We brought you on because you're doing some pretty cool stuff. You want to talk about that?
You're meaning I'm working on a cold case for my class
Yeah.
or
if
the
you wanna-
SRS?
That's kind of the same thing. You're working on it in class, but also for the project.
Okay. Well, I guess to
If
start
you-
off is like my.
If
Sorry.
you want to talk about it, you don't have to. At the very most, we just wanted someone.
Well, the
who-
information is freed, obviously, for students to study,
Mhm.
so I don't think that's necessarily an issue.
Well, no, I'm not meaning like, oh, you'll get in trouble for talking about it. And trust me, if I thought that, we wouldn't be asking.
I know.
It's just if there's anything that you've noticed that, working on a cold case file that like, if they would have done this or that, it would have been solvable. Like, what are some frustrations? What are some things that make a case go cold?
Well, to start off with, I guess I'm not one of like the, regular autopsy or coroner. My in forensic anthropology, so my specialty will be in the bones of the body. So it is slightly different. To where
Michaela's got a boner.
Oh.
I had to do that one. I'm sorry.
I saw it coming.
Yeah.
But so that's where my specialty is. So it is a little bit different because I'm not looking at all the soft tissue. I'm not looking at certain other stuff. I'm looking at aspects to where they're so degraded you don't know who they are versus, just obscure information to where you just can't solve it. A couple of the cold cases that are offered for us to study in the class are actually kind of interesting. So there's two to where I don't even remember what year it was. It was probably about like the 1960s or so when they're estimating, because what happened is they pulled up like a palm tree or something. Some people were doing work for like a neighborhood or something, or pulling stuff up. And they pulled up a tree, and in the roots of the tree, embedded in it, were two skeletons.
Oh, I saw something.
So-
Pompeii
like that,
lovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are two of the cold cases we have because they haven't been solved. There's no way of knowing like if it was, because it wasn't like there was a cemetery, They estimate it's not, Indian burial remains. It's nothing like that. The only information they really have, because like the skull is like partially, completely like gone. They have like a Phillips head screwdriver, or not a screwdriver, the screw for a Phillip. And they can estimate that it was at least after this time period, because obviously Phillips head screws weren't, invented before this time. That's all they really have to go off of.
Okay.
But it had to have been there for
there
a
was
while for the
one-
roots.
Yeah, the roots were embedded into like the bones, and like you saw like where they were like crushed or gripped and stuff like that too,
Wow.
where they kind of went through the skull and everything. There was one to where a guy just was a male, looked like that had a shotgun blast to the head. So his skull was completely like shattered, essentially. So they're having trouble, figuring that one out.
Dang.
Mine is one of the most complete cold cases that we have.
Oh.
And that whole reason why is because I am studying for forensic facial reconstruction.
So she
Okay.
kind of needs this stuff.
Yeah, so having the most complete skull is relatively important. With this cold case, I've noticed like I have like almost all the bones for it. There's like a handful, small handful, like like hands of the bone, or bones of the hands or feet, or relatively missing, and maybe a couple teeth that fell out.
Okay. Okay.
The biggest thing with it is it was called like the mummy. This person was completely and totally mummified when they found him. So they suspect that this person died in 1996, and this case was found in 1997.
Okay.
Found in a military duffel bag, stuffed, and they can't believe if it was like the rain that ended up bringing it up, or if they just came across it.
Yeah.
But this person was completely mummified. They saw the hair, a lot of the skin. There was like body fluids and everything. A lot of that stuff still.
The desert heat
They
does wonders for death.
Yeah.
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 And they do a skeletal inventory, obviously, and looking how this person died and all that. The biggest thing that they're trying to figure out was obviously how this person died, but the death is undetermined.
Interesting.
With this case, I've noticed the hyoid bone. That's the bone that they have, obviously, where if you were to strangle someone, that bone would be broken, essentially.
Oh, okay.
That blocks off their airway, that cuts it, Well, in the skeletal inventory, I noticed they said they have it, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere. So,
Interesting.
among transport or among some point, they lost it.
Or they just thought they had
For
it.
like, or they thought they had it. And with this person, there was like the duffel bag, there was like a belt that was found in there that was all torn up. They have something this is what's called a term for criminal justice for like autopsy coroners, forensic anthropologists, and everything. NFI, where you label something NFI, and that means no fucking idea.
Yeah.
So
Proper
there's
terms.
Yeah.
yeah,
Nice
so,
terms.
yeah, that's their proper term for it. It's like there's like bags of that. There's bags of skin tissue. There's bags of hair. Like I know what color hair this person has. But one of the biggest things is they actually have a blood sample.
Oh,
And
that helps.
yeah, it's kept in alcohol and everything to preserve it. And essentially, if you wanted to figure out who this person was, this person, from what I've examined and all that, is around anywhere from the age of like the 50 to like 70s.
Okay.
Based off of their osteoporosis and like the, fusion of like certain bones and all that from, like certain stages and everything. And I know it's a female because of like the pelvic bone and how like, the skull is.
Yeah.
Roughly, if you were to do a blood sample with all this other information you have, you would probably be able to find out who this person was, because in the 1996 or so, there's at least got to be medical information if this person has severe osteoporosis and was found with clothing that sounds to be a little bit more ritzy from what it sounds like in the description. They probably had medical records, but they didn't want to pay the money because it cost more to run degraded DNA, to figure it out.
Okay.
And that's essentially the case I'm working on that kind of bugged me.
Interesting stuff. Okay. Huh.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that's interesting to hear kind of what goes into this kind of stuff. There's a whole world of forensics that I don't think a lot of people really realize. And
Yeah, for sure.
you're doing You're doing it.
Well, the issue is with like a lot of like coroners and everything. This goes literally across the country and I guess worldwide from what we've been finding out. Of like coroners just don't get paid enough to care.
Wow.
If they're even qualified. Did you want to bring that up? Michaela? I think we lost her.
Oh, she was talking. I can hear her actually over here.
Is she?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, she's still
don't-
talking. Yeah.
I don't.
What happened? Anyway, keep going. I'll fill you in, Matt.
Hold on. What is going on?
Okay. Oh, wow. I mean, the Michael Jordan or like,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, you're gonna have to repeat all of that.
Okay.
Ow!
Have you ever heard of what happened to his dad?
Ow!
Sort of. Matt, what is your issue over there?
Audio. Okay,
Oh.
I can hear you again. It's just ow.
Jesus.
I'm gonna have to edit
But,
that.
Yep.
So I know what you're talking about with Michael Jordan, the
yeah, his
famous.
dad was murdered.
Oh.
You're gonna continue the story, right? Did it cut out again?
I think so because you're talking over her again. Wow.
Okay. Is it?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes. I don't know
Okay.
what is going on.
Oh. Technical difficulties. Not fun.
Sorry, continue. So his father was, yeah.
Murdered out basically near a forest, and he was just outside the state jurisdiction to where he was the county's jurisdiction at that point, in which this local coroner did not have enough money at all to do certain cases. So
Oh.
what happened is they didn't know who he was. They were trying to figure it out. They hardly had a budget. And by the time they determined how he died and what happened and everything, by the time it got to like the people, like, Michael Jordan and the rest of the family and everything like that, his dad had been cremated despite like the family's wishes and everything. Not the coroner's fault, because at the time they weren't too sure that was his family. 1, 2, they didn't have freezers. So the only option they had was to cremate it or let the body sit there and rot and smell.
Oh.
So that was like a huge issue, was like him being cremated.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So this kind of
So
stuff
that's, like-
happens.
All the time.
Wow.
And that could be part of why cases go cold too. Is we had a body, but we didn't have anywhere for it.
So we had to
No,
burn
that's
it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually pulled up something. Was what states have the worst amount of cold cases?
Oh, I have something interesting like that too. I have the most popular unsolved mysteries, so we can rapid fire those off.
So Ohio is the worst.
Wow.
It has the worst amount for solved of, like, percentage wise, not like the highest homicide rates. California has the highest homicide rates,
It makes sense.
Yeah.
but Ohio has the worst percentage for solving them. But
Dang.
yeah, a lot of this goes on to say like there's about 250,000 unsolved cold cases for sure in the US, and about 6,000 grow every year of unsolved ones. And a lot of it goes to the fact that there's so many that people don't have the budget to actually solve them. So it's partly why cold cases go cold.
Right. Huh.
And looking at this and everything, you can actually see like local areas that don't really, have a lot. Yeah, they're the ones with like the worst amount of percentage rates.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's tricky, man. That's like,
It hurts.
man. Yeah, no,
It
definitely. Like,
hurts knowing that tax dollars go to everything else but anything beneficial.
yeah, but then the victims and the victims' families are just left, unanswered. Like,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, they could be somewhere doing something, or you just don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found an interesting article. It's the most notorious unsolved crime in every state.
Okay.
So
I've seen that.
these are just little like tiny excerpts. So I can like rapid fire these or just kind of like short summary.
Let's go with the most interesting ones. What do you find the most interesting?
Most interesting. Let me see. That one's not super interesting. That one's just a kidnapping. Okay. Oh, this one's interesting. Okay, so in Alaska, passengers on a fishing boat, investor, were killed in Craig in 1982. 8 people, including a man, his pregnant wife, their 2 children, and a teenage deckhand, were shot to death aboard a fishing boat called the Investor on September 6, 1982. The killer is then believed to have returned to the scene the next afternoon to set the boat on fire. It was the biggest mass murder in Alaskan history and rocked the small fishing town of Craig where it took place. Yeah. So just got on a boat, killed the whole family, and then set the boat on fire the next day. That's interesting.
Okay.
That wasn't solved because that seems like there should be
a high priority.
Right.
Fire does tend to do a lot of damage. I don't know. Were they able to identify the family at all?
It doesn't say it in this excerpt. I'd have to dig more. This is just kind of like a baseline, like this is what happened kind of thing. But there's a book on
Anything
it.
with fire can completely damage DNA, let alone like just disintegrate the bones depending on the heat.
Yeah, I mean,
Jet fuel
that's
doesn't
true.
melt steel beams, though.
Apparently. Sure. Let me see here. This one. Okay. That one. Oh, this one's the Zodiac Killer. Okay, I got some more info on that already.
Mhm.
That's the most
California?
notorious in California. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. San Francisco.
Oh, it's all around like the southern, like mid to southern California.
Yeah.
Bless
So, after this, I actually have one more thing to add.
Okay.
Which is it's interesting because it's the story of my ancestors actually, which fits into this theme.
On which end of it? I'm joking.
I can't say that part. Yeah, right. No,
I'm not gonna solve it.
Triple murder in Florida. Robert and Helen Sims and their daughter Joy were found bound, gagged, and stabbed and shot in their Tallahassee home October 22nd, 1966. More than 50 years later, police still don't know who did it. Yeah. So that's just like your typical, yeah, Florida. So like that to me doesn't seem like a crazy weird thing. It's just something that didn't get looked into very well, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Florida, I don't know if they have the most money to throw at the police department, but
it also depends on how many homicides they have, because if there's so many, it could just get pushed under the rug.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's weird too. So Hawaii, Lisa Au's murder has been called one of Hawaii's biggest unsolved mysteries by local news. Lisa Au was 19 years old and working as a hairdresser in 1982. On January 21st, she left her boyfriend's sister's house after having dinner. Hours later, her car was found parked along the highway in Kailua, and her decomposing body was found 10 days later. Let's see further on this. Witnesses say they saw a car flashing blue light behind hers in what may have been someone impersonating a police officer, prompting the Honolulu Police Department to ban supplemental blue lights.
It's always weird having those cases where like you have a case and it sets a precedent for something, of like, okay, completely banning this, or okay, from now on we're doing this kind of thing.
Can't use blue lights anymore.
Yeah. No blue lights in Hawaii ever.
Yeah.
Man,
this
these
one's
glasses
another
are gonna be useless.
Right. This is another serial killer type thing. Idaho. Between 1979 and 1982, 5 murders and disappearances were linked to a single unknown person. In the area on the border between Idaho and Washington, known as the Lewiston-Clarkson metropolitan area, a series of murders and disappearances between 1979 and 1982 remain unsolved. Of the 5 missing people, only the bodies of Christina Nelson, Jacqueline Brandy Miller, and Kirsten David were found. Stephen Pearsall and Christina White remain missing. Yeah. The span of a couple years, couple murders, and then, you know, they weren't solved or anything. The guy's still out there, Yeah. Essentially. Okay, this one is Kansas, which is this one's grim. Ooh. Do we say this one? Okay, we say this one. We say this one. It's just it's hard. 1970, 12-year-old Kelly Lynn Albright went missing and was found dead in a field in Reno County, Kansas. 4 days after Kelly Lynn Albright disappeared from her family's home, she was found dead in a field. She had been sexually assaulted and stabbed 18 times.
I think I've actually heard that one.
A family friend.
When was this?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, what year was this?
This was 1970.
Okay.
Yeah. A long time ago. That's 50 years, actually. Holy cow. I just realized that. That's scary to say.
Yeah.
More on this. 4 days after Kelly Lynn Albright disappeared from her family's home, she was found dead. Oh, I already read that. Never mind, sorry. This one. A family friend named Glenn Davis was a suspect in the murder, but the evidence against him was circumstantial. After being convicted of aggravated indecent liberties with a child, an unrelated case in 1995, he died in prison before authorities could question him again about Albright. The case inspired a mystery novel called Facing September.
See, I think I heard about that, and because in school I minored in criminal justice, and one of the classes was victims, and I believe that someone had to do a report on her, so it sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then this one is the most notorious I've ever heard of, pretty much, and happens to be in a state that I actually know pretty well. So in Nevada, rapper Tupac Shakur was killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas in 1996. So I actually didn't know that happened in Vegas. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things of like, you think it's in some obscure, like just weird spot, but one of the biggest places on the planet.
Right, yeah.
Where people should be able to see everything.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so that's a weird one, because it's like, there's so many people there,
so many
it would
people
be
there
impossible
per
to hide
hour.
something,
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, I guess? I don't know.
I guess that's the case.
So I guess we know where we're doing. I'm trying.
Oh, man.
Guess we know where the crime's going down.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Get the spirit box.
Get the spirit box, right? Need some smudge sticks.
Yeah.
So that's about it for this list here. The rest of them are just kind of like, this person got stabbed, and that's pretty much it. Went cold. There's a lot of
I can
those.
tell you about a case that was actually solved, but almost didn't.
Oh,
That my teacher worked on, actually.
okay.
This one's called the Jeff Towers case in Idaho. So when you actually brought up Idaho, I was almost expecting this one, but I guess they're only going by cold cases.
Yeah.
So this guy, Jeff Towers, essentially came and visited friends in Idaho. There was like a huge party. Idaho is pretty barren.
Yep.
Not a lot going on there. So
Potatoes.
not hard to find a secluded spot.
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
No, there's actual potato trains that go through there. I'm not even lying.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Mash them, strew 'em, put them in a stew. Sorry.
Wow. Did you really fail that quote, Matt? Jesus.
I haven't. It's Wednesday, my dude.
Boil them, mash them, put them in a stew.
Sorry, Michaela, as you were saying.
Anyways, this guy gets dragged by his three friends. Something to do with I'm sure it was like a drug deal or something, and whatever. I don't remember the full thing of it. This guy, by the three others, gets taken to like a secluded area, shot in the head.
Mm.
What they proceed to do is they bury like a pit, not very deep at all, just like a pit to just barely cover him, and set him on fire.
Okay.
And then once the fire is out, they stomp everything. They smash up like all the bones
Mm.
in the body, and they like sever them up, and like they burn them again
Jesus.
and all that, and then cover them up.
Hmm.
And the only reason why this case even came to light, because no one knew what happened to him. He was about a 19-year-old kid,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, who his mom was like worried about him, but there was no idea. He went and traveled everywhere. The girlfriend of one of the guys who killed him, felt so guilty, because she was told about it. She went and told the police.
Oh.
And that's the only reason why they even knew about it, was just because this girl randomly felt guilty about it, even though she was threatened if she said anything. So she was like, please don't tell them it was me. Well, they go and discover like where the body's at, but there's snow on the ground, and the ground is frozen.
Oh.
So there's actual pictures of my teacher they're having to dig through like the ice for the dirt and everything.
Oh, wow.
And the only way they were able to, because this is where his specialty came in, because they were just like, there's no way of telling. There was hardly anything left of him.
Ooh.
Nothing. There was like
Just
fragments of bones. Yeah, like most of them had all disintegrated in ash and everything.
Yeah.
So there was just like very, very small fragments left. But they were able to tell the orientation of the body based on what fragments they did find. So they happened to find part of like the mandible, like the jaw and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and all that on one end, and then they found like part of like a shoe on the other end. So they're like, okay, he was laying this way, because then they found like partly like the kneecap or whatever in the middle. So they were able to orientate where he was. Based on the fragments that just happened to be left, and this was like literally just enough, was like they were able to find like fusions between the bones to tell like what his age was, and there was like enough of the jaw to show that he had a cleft chin and everything, and like certain buttons that he may have been wearing on a jacket, which was like the only one surviving, the bullet from the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Just enough to say, yeah, this person was this age, of this gender, and
Was wearing
everything to
something
match.
along these lines.
Yeah, to match who it was. Just enough information to where the courts were able to say, okay, yeah. Let alone they were able to get confessions out of 2 or 3 guys, because the 2 of them did it for to be released early. The other guy wouldn't admit it to it, even though he was completely outed.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Took it to the grave. Even though it was out.
No kidding.
If they would have just stomped and burned him a bit more, there would have been nothing.
Right? Yeah. You never know how much
got
is
too
not
careless.
enough, right?
And yeah, and just mix up the dirt and everything, you wouldn't be able to tell anything.
Right. Man, that's a crazy story.
Yep.
Wow. So I
Yeah.
guess I'll move on to my personal story that I have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm interested.
I'm
buckled
trying
in.
to make it quick. I know we've been going
Yeah,
for a
no,
little while.
We've been going for about an hour and a half. By the end of the story, probably an hour and a half.
Yeah, so we'll I'll try to wrap it up quickly and summarize. So basically, the this is my ancestor history. Okay. There's one person of the family, not the people who did it, but one person of the family who was surrounding, still alive with this name, I guess, the family name. So they're called the Bloody Benders.
Okay.
And they're based out of Kansas. They had a bed and breakfast in Kansas. Right off the highway, they would have people come in and stay at their bed and breakfast. They'd give them food and stuff, and obviously, since that's what they were there for.
Just
but
a
then,
bit,
yeah. But then one of the family members would come by and smack the person upside the head with a hammer and murder them. So they did it for a couple of years and claimed a bunch of victims, and all that. But I don't believe it was a cold case. I believe they got found out, but I'm not sure what the details are on that. It was a little too close to home for me to research on.
Yeah, be like, yeah, no, I want to hear this.
Yeah, it's just it's my family. But they made documentaries and books and stuff about them that I actually haven't seen yet. But I want to now. I'm kind of more interested in, learning about my
movie
family.
night.
I guess, right? But yeah. So that's kind of a crazy story. Yeah, that's my
Gracie,
family.
It is.
Yeah.
Gracie is creeped out by that story.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gracie.
She's meowing because she wants out.
Yeah. She can't escape.
Yeah, so murderers in my bloodline, right? That's fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Now my aunt is married to
I was going to say, you're going to tell.
If I had a bit more of the details, maybe. But also, since it is her last name, still technically, I would feel kind of weird.
I wouldn't give, the name or whatever. Just.
But one of my uncle, blood related to the aunt married uncle. His I believe grandfather is one of the last people, I think, in California that was. Actually, I believe he was the last, death sentence carried out in California or something like that.
Oh wow!
Because of murders and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I'll figure out some more. There's a book about, because they ran kind of a gang, and the gang was just their last name. Otherwise, I'd just say it. But to not dox anyone close to me. Yeah, it's a fun little thing, and needless to say, my uncle doesn't speak with his family.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
If any of us go missing,
right?
Nah. It's definitely interesting how close some things can get.
I don't have anything obscure like that. I'm sorry.
At least that you're aware of. That's the thing.
As far as I'm aware of, I know people who've gone to jail, but it was it had nothing to do with murder.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, that's insane.
I feel like there's too many cold case files to. There's so many mysteries too. Not even just this murder happened. We even have the Dyatlov Pass incident. If anybody knows about that.
I don't know that one.
Basically, 9 Russian hikers mysteriously died in the Ural Mountains. And the 59, so right at the start of 59. It's about 70 years old now. The weird thing is, some of these people had like radiation found on them from like just nuclear radiation, and the way that the bodies were found is interesting because like the tent was ripped out from the inside, so people were just rushing out. Some of them left clothes behind. Some were found like trying to climb a tree. So it's just kind of like a weird case of like they had to have been running from something, but nothing is found.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about that at some point, we could revisit that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to do another thing about like
so
mysteries
down for
and
mysteries.
stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, because then we could discuss more about like the Donner Party and all that stuff.
Yes.
That happened.
Well,
So,
that's a pretty cut and dry case, but that's still interesting.
It's still interesting though. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing normal about it.
You guys could talk about the Black Dahlia.
We could.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If it was after Jack the Ripper, it almost seems like a copycat.
Kind of.
Yeah.
We can't even talk about Jack the Ripper. At some point.
I know, man.
Bean Stream is just going to be a mystery podcast from now on.
Right from now on. It started all light and airy, you know, and now it's all like dark.
It started off as beans, and now we went from being refried beans to pinto beans real quick.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that means, but
I'm surprised you didn't go with black beans.
We're not there yet.
Whoa.
We're not there yet. I mean,
I'm quit hunting.
You're gonna need to take a seat over there, ma'am.
Nice.
All right. Well, we're getting close to the hour 20-ish minute. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
Kyla, special guest, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I did my piece.
Okay.
Anything you want to promote or put shed some light on? Maybe funding for coroners, yeah? Petition?
Yeah,
let's start with don't do votes for coroners. Get actual people with degrees to do it.
Oh, there you go.
Qualified hiring, not
Yes.
elected position.
Not equal opportunity.
No, just
Not a
not.
car muffler salesman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's
That's
anything
good.
I have shout out right now. I don't have friends.
Yeah, I don't know anybody with like a murder / mystery podcast, but we shouted out Austin twice before, so he's gotten enough.
I mean, if we're shouting out like a murder mystery kind of podcast,
Yeah,
they don't need it, obviously, because if it's one of those, it's a podcast that like it's from a parent company who's already like known, but Red Web podcast, pretty good, pretty interesting.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I need to remember. There's like a radio show over here, like on the West Coast, that talks about
the
like
murder
anything
mystery
from
podcast,
paranormal.
or not murder
It's not
mystery,
a
but
podcast;
like
it's a radio
that's,
show.
Yeah, I've heard I've heard the commercial on the radio so many times. I can't remember
They
what
talk
it's
about
called,
anything paranormal, just like the weirdest stuff, and they get people calling in talking about how they see aliens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I still haven't said any of my ghost stories ever.
Oh,
Eventually.
Yeah, we have to do another
to
ghost
Coast,
episode.
AM.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
It's in Las Vegas radio show.
What is it? Weird. So it's everywhere, right? Because they make it sound like it's on the iHeartRadio app, right?
That's what I'm checking.
Because that's the thing that it's an
Topics relate to
iHeartRadio
either
station.
paranormal or conspiracy theories. Airs 7 nights a week from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. I'm trying to find if it says.
I think it's an
Remote
iHeartRadio.
Studios, Los Angeles, Missouri, Nevada. Okay, they have everything but the actual.
Where to find it?
Yes.
Ooh.
It's one of those things. The station that we listen to locally in town is an iHeartRadio state. It's owned by iHeartRadio technically. So I think that's where that commercial comes in, is because it's owned by iHeartRadio. They're like, oh, listen to this.
WFMD-AM.
I don't know. It's interesting though. It's one thing that I've been tempted to, but I don't want to start going down too many rabbit holes at once.
Yeah, apparently they get some pretty weird shit of like just people in general calling in.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
anybody else have anything? Any closing remarks? Anything fun? Topics for next week?
Ooh, I mean, I like. I'm liking the whole like mystery,
I'm liking
like
the mystery.
like
But
spooky
next week
thing. You know,
is Christmas.
that's also fair.
There's Christmas-based murders.
Roll.
I'm serious. There's like a whole thing of like.
Are you coming back next week, Con? We could schedule this again. We could do this again. We're working out the bugs. We're working out the bugs, but I mean, if you're down to be 3-bean,
You'd be a 3-bean salad right now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm down.
Don't take that the wrong way.
Wait.
Ah, I got you to admit it. Wow.
Oh, you beans. Look at your small penis. Bet you can't do anything with that, huh? Shitty beans. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Excuse me, waiter. I asked for water.
All right, Matt, you got to end it with the one. There it is.
I just like the last.
Okay. All right. Well, that does it for this one.
Special guest, Michaela.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for putting up with us and joining us on this episode. Hopefully we didn't scare you off, and hopefully you can coax other people to join us by saying, oh yeah, no, I was a guest. I'm still alive.
Go tell your friends.
Yeah. Everybody share the podcast around, and eventually we'll get 3 views.
Eventually, yes. One of these days.
That is the goal.
That's the goal.
But yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks to you, the audience, whoever's watching this, for watching this.
Oh yeah.
Let us know if you have any topics. I think RJ and I are pretty open to topics.
Oh yeah,
I don't think
always.
there's really anything off the table.
I mean, that's what the Bean Scream is about. It's just
it's just talking.
just a vibe, really. Yeah.
Just talking.
Yeah.
Just personality driven talking.
Mm-hmm.
I like that we have such long outros. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, because obviously we're probably just watching this on YouTube. Ring the bell, like, comment, subscribe again, and then hit the button one more time, because if you hit it twice, you've unsubscribed. But hit it 3 times.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 the bell, and I was not
making the email address, subscribe again, the whole thing.
Share it with at least 10 people.
Yes.
Otherwise,
or you'll have no money ever.
Otherwise, Michaela's not coming back. She said if this episode doesn't get 100 views in a week, she's never coming back.
She did. It's in her contract.
Yeah. Like, trust me, I'm wanting to get her to come back. So, like,
we got to do this.
At least 50, and I could probably talk her into like coming back.
Yeah.
But like,
for sure.
you know, it has to be in a week, like that 50. Otherwise,
okay.
Otherwise, she's done. she says she's out.
Well, we can dream. We'll shoot for the stars. Until next week.
Dream.
Bean dream.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you
See you later.
in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.